Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Asher baras asa v'simchacha hasam nekala. Asher baras asa v'simchacha hasam nekala. Ha'gila rina ditza v'chedva v'yava v'shalom v'reyut. Asher baras asa v'simcha asa v'simcha chata v'kala. Gila rina ditza v'chedva
Chanan v'kala, Gilarina ditza v'chedva, Ahava v'achva, v'shalom v'reyos, Meira Adonai Eloheinu Yishama b'Yarei Yehuda, v'chutzos Yerushalayim.
Kol chazon v'kol simcha, kol chatan v'kol kala, kol chazon v'kol simcha, kol chatan v'kol
Simcha, kol chason v'kol kala, kol mitzalos chasonim mechupasam v'niyarim v'mishtein ginasam baruch atah Adonai v'samech chason im hakala.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'rei bri hagafen.
Здоровья!
Sure. I have no idea. Oh, yes.
Is this tell? Is it tell?
Not a gift.
It's something about
You wish, no?
What's that?
it says. Yeah.
All right, so good evening, everybody. Mazel Tov, Igor and Esther. It really is a tremendous privilege for Torch to have you part of our family and part of the Partners in Torah program here tonight. And we're looking forward to many, many more years of celebration with the two of you and with everybody else here, our big family. So Mazel Tov. Want to also thank whoever put together. Thank you, Mrs. Granitsky, and everybody else who helped with all of the food. Of course, Sahava for putting together, and Mrs. Getz and Mrs. Uzan for all of the putting together all of the details and for all the delicious food that's here. As we do every week, we have a guest speaker to come speak, and I look forward to each and every one of you being the speaker in the coming weeks. It's easy portions. We have Yisro coming up, which is the 10 Commandments. We have Mishpatim, a lot of laws. We have Terumah. We have so many opportunities. I'm looking for, you want to speak next week? Next week? Yeah, you can do it. Put the pressure on your partner to prepare. No, you could do it. We'll talk after. But either way, I look forward to someone saying here next week. Yeah. Next week, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay, there we go. I like that. Nice, excellent. So tonight's our speaker for tonight is a dear friend of mine and a dear friend of Torch, Ari Winkler. And we're looking forward to hearing a beautiful Torah from him tonight.
He tells me right now when I'm taking shots at him, he's about ready to speak.
So hopefully he's sober enough to say a Torah that's coherent. So without any further ado, Ari.
If you have more, I'll give you a
Make a l'chaim for the couple.
Esther Negro, are we going to have l'chaim first?
If we must.
Rabbi, where's the l'chaim?
Right here.
I'd like to make a cheers to Esther and Igor.
Wait, so you're going there? You're
Right,
going there.
Rabbi's got to take each other. How about your buddy? You don't see more than a shot.
Say no. Anybody else for L'chaim? L'chaim with the bride and groom. Just a disclaimer to our friends on Facebook Live: we don't condone drunk driving. Uber will be here for whoever drinks. Anybody else? Would you like one?
I'll take this vote.
Start now.
Anybody else?
Chaim, my blessing to you is, I guess, like the blessing I just said, the last one I got, which is the blessing that the happiness you currently have should remain with you forever and ever. And the way we end off our last blessing is the happiness of a chassan with a kala is the epitome of what happiness is. And that's how the happiness should remain forever, not just today, in a year from now and forever. It should be like the same happiness you have today. L'chaim. In this week's Torah portion, we have 7 of the 10 plagues. And as we know, it starts off where the first 3 plagues, Moses is the one who's supposed to take care of all 10 plagues, but before every plague, Moses takes his staff and hits whatever is going to become. For example, the water, the ground, the land. And we see on the first 3 plagues, Moses tells Aaron a coin to hit the actual water and the ground. And I'm here to speak actually about the second plague, which is the frogs. But we notice right away that on the first 3 plagues, he tells Aaron to do it. And we know from Rashi, who writes on the actual Parsha, that the reason is because when Moses was a young lad, he actually got thrown into the sea, as we all know, or into the river by his sister, who was watching from the side. And he was put in like a little, I don't know if it was an oval box, it was like a little basket that was floating, and he got saved. And he had gratitude toward the water for saving him, and he had gratitude to the land later on when he saw some Egyptian messing around with a couple of Jew boys, and he took care of business. So for that gratitude, he chose not to hit the ground and the water. And we see it from this, a major point that we always have to have gratitude, whether it's in an animate object or an inanimate object. Regardless, there's always gratitude that we have to have. And sometimes we don't see it in our daily lives, but we see from Moses that even the water we have gratitude because it saved him, even though really, if you get down to the nitty gritty, it's a box which saved him, and actually the water helped him float. So, but everything has a cause and an effect. So, if we look at the frogs specifically, I don't know if we know this, but the way it's brought down is that actually it started with like one big frog. Like, if you guys go to an amusement park, I don't know if Igor is going to be good at winning prizes for you, Esther, at an amusement park, but if he goes to an amusement park and he wins one of these like huge like frog princes, it's like that's what the frog looked like in like the 10 plagues. So it was this big frog, and the first Egyptian or whoever it was, whether it was Pharaoh or someone else, comes and hits the frog. And what happens? A bunch of baby frogs or slightly bigger frogs come out. And they're getting fed up and they keep hitting the frogs. And I had this question for years. If you see somebody hit you and you see more of you, you stop hitting the person. What is wrong with the Egyptians? Like, they hit the frog, there are 40 frogs. They hit it again, now there are 100. Stop, call it a day. What are we doing? It's like, I don't want to say anything like political over here, but I know that there's a lot of sign. The Democrats don't know if they leave Trump alone, he'll just shut up. That would be like the comparison I like to use. Like, they're giving him ammo, same idea.
I love it.
So what is going on over here with the frogs? So I think the answer is pretty simple, that sometimes when we lose ourselves, which is a terrible thing, which is what the plagues were trying to actually show, it was almost like an eye for an eye. It was midah connected midah, where one thing happens and then in return it happens back. It's showing that that you lost yourself on the Jews, we're going to make you lose yourself on yourselves. So when you lose yourself, you lose full control. So even though in rationality it would make sense that there's absolutely no reason to keep hitting it, we're not coherent enough to realize that. And so much so that the frogs just kept going and going and going until finally Pharaoh's like, enough, I can't handle it anymore. And that's what happened. And I think that you could take that in life, that with a couple especially, if you just catch yourself before, even when the first frog jumps out, not that it ever does in marriage, but you just stop it, it's only one frog. It doesn't ever become more than that. And that's what we have to learn from in the Parsha, that if we would have stopped after one frog, maybe we would never, maybe the Egyptians would have let us leave, or maybe they would have picked up onto it. But because they lost themselves is where it all came out, and that's how we all got freed, which is beautiful for us. I want to thank everybody for coming in the rain and hearing me talk about I don't even know what, and the shots definitely help. Thank you.